And you were listening to Season 6 of the award-winning Christian Outdoors Podcast with your host, Pete Rogers. All right, everyone, welcome back to Christian Outdoors Podcast. I'm your host, Pete Rogers, and man, I am excited to finally have Mr. Mitchell Johnston on the show today. Mitchell was born and raised in North Carolina, and he has always had a love for God and his creation, and this love inspired him to become an avid outdoorsman. He first started hunting when he was around 9 years old, but at 16, Mitchell fell in love with the world of turkey hunting. And if you listen to this show, you know that that's a passion of mine as well. But this became a passion, and as a Mossy Oak would say, an obsession. This love for turkey hunting also gave him a passion for turkey calling and turkey calling contests. And after winning a few North Carolina state championships, he began to enter the World Turkey Calling Championship, the National Turkey Calling Championship, and the U.S. Open Championships. And Mitchell won his first World Turkey Calling Championship in the summer of 2009. He immediately followed that with his first National Turkey Calling Championships in 2010. But it was years later in 2019 that he won his first U.S. Open Championship and recently won another U.S. Open title in 2025. Overall, God has blessed him to win numerous North Carolina state championship titles, 4 national championship titles, and 6 world championships, and 2 U.S. Open championship titles. Man, that's a lot of trophies you got, dude. I can't wait to hear about it. In 2011, he started his company called Dead End Game Calls. They make turkey calls, deer calls, predator calls, waterfowl calls, and have also got scent elimination products, and they have an apparel line as well. After beginning Dead End Game Calls, he didn't stop there. He went and ventured into the fishing world and began Dead End Fishing. Dead End Fishing, as he says, at Dead End Fishing, we make fishing flavoring, and they have hooks, swivels, fishing line, and apparel line as well. Mitchell's also part of the Mossy Oak family and currently hosts a show on Mossy Oak Go called Dead End Game Calls. God has blessed him to take his passion and turn it into a career, traveling the country, hunting and fishing, making the Dead End brand of products through TV, social media, and speaking engagements. God has certainly blessed Mitchell with a great career, and we are excited to have him on the show today. Mitchell Johnston of Dead End Game Calls, thank you for joining me today.
It is great to be on the show, brother, and it has been a while in the making, that's for sure.
It really has, but I do appreciate it, brother. I really do. So there's a lot going on there, man. What a resume you have. I'm sure the listeners are as well impressed with the plethora of turkey calling championships that you have won. And let's start it off there, Mitchell. For someone who may be a turkey hunter, but not a competitive caller, explain the difference in that, please.
Well, turkey hunting and turkey calling. In turkey calling, you have to be what I would call a perfect turkey. In turkey hunting, you do not. What I can say by that is as a turkey hunter, there's also woodsmanship and skill that goes into that. You don't have to be the greatest caller to be an effective turkey hunter. You have to have woodsmanship. I like to think that you have to have rhythm and cadence in your calling. I think that's an important factor of luring in that gobbler that you're after, is having that rhythm and cadence. And I think that's more important than being the perfect turkey. Where turkey calling, you're in front of a judging panel. So you've got people that are judging you based on what sounds they've heard a wild turkey make. And so you're actually trying to become that perfect turkey, not slipping, not flipping any reeds, not making any noises that a turkey would not make. And it's got to be the perfect turkey. Judges in a turkey calling contest is the humans, and judges in the woods is the real turkey.
Yeah. Yeah. And as we know, a lot of hen turkeys would never win a calling contest.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, there's times that if you're hunting public ground, you're sitting there, you're thinking, gosh, that hunter does not sound good at all. And then all of a sudden the hen walks over the ridge and there she is. And she's turkey calling. You're like, okay, never mind.
And that's the only reason I can kill a turkey is because I am not a good turkey caller. But I love how you mentioned this. And I learned this years ago. I wish I could remember who it was when you talked about cadence. Is when you listen to a hen turkey and you hear the not the perfect yelp or the perfect cluck, but you hear a specific cadence, wah, 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 whatever it is. And then you hear a person. Are we trying to impersonate a turkey or mimic a turkey? Two different things, right? And I want you to explain that because you're obviously much better at it than I am.
Well, when it comes to rhythm and cadence, turkeys do things in a particular manner. The biggest thing that I can tell hunters to do is no noise matters just as much as noise. And what I mean by that is if you're sitting there constantly running a call and you're constantly yelping on that call, turkeys take time to listen. It's an important thing. And so to add realism to a call when you're calling in a turkey, that noise or no noise is just as important as noise. And that's where particular rhythm and cadences come into play at. A turkey's not going to just constantly yelp and yelp and yelp and yelp and yelp. She's going to take the time to listen for that response.
So I've done a lot of shows about how to call in a turkey and how to kill a turkey and stuff. But I don't think I've really focused on the calling contest. I'm going to throw you a little curveball here. Maybe it's more like a slider than a curveball. And let's talk about in the calling contest, there are specific calls that you have to run. And for the listener, that's what we call running a call when we're talking about operating a call. Okay. So there's a little bit of slang going on there. And I wanted the listener who may not be familiar with to understand when I say run a call, it's actually operating a call. But there's our particular calls that you have to do. Explain those and why.
Well, they have basically the range of turkey vocalization that you have to do in a turkey calling contest. There's different contests as far as the way they want you to present those calls. Some contest is they call out a singular call. You do that call, then they call out another singular call. So, and they may do that 5 calls, 4 calls, whatever the case might be. And so they might say, I need a kiki run. Caller number 11, give me your best rendition of a kiki run. And then you do your rendition. Then they might say, caller number 11, give me your best rendition of an excited yelp of a hen. You do that. Caller number 11, give me your best rendition of a plain yelp of a hen, or a fly down cackle, or cutting of the excited hen, whatever that case might be. And so you actually have to do that singular call. Well, then after that goes on, some contests do it in a scenario-based format. So they say, caller number 11, give me, you got an early spring morning hen waking up on a limb, flying down, gobblers are in the area, with jakes at a distance, calling the gobbler before the jakes get there. So in that, you require compulsory calls. You might have to gobbler yelp. You might have to do cluck and purrs. You might have to do an excited yelp, a fly down cackle, just to present that and paint that scenario to the ears of the judges. So you're trying to take those judges, have them close their eyes and be in the springtime woods with a turkey call.
Wow. Okay. My goodness. I know nothing about this.
It's a lot. And one of the funnest contests, so there are different divisions in these contests. You have like the Goblin division. I was blessed this year. The good Lord blessed me and I won the U.S. Open Goblin Championship. But then you've got the open divisions, which is open. You can use mouth calls, friction calls, whatever. Then there's a friction call division. Then there's the 2-man team division. And a good friend of mine, and one of your mutual acquaintances as well, John Miller, he and I actually won the 2-man team world championship this year, awesome. Which was, he's a fellow CVA member as well. And man, what an awesome dude. And so we were blessed to win the 2-man team championship this year. And that's totally scenario based. Okay. So we had to paint a picture from songbirds singing to, we had coyotes hollering that we was yelping on our mouth calls, making coyote noises on the mouth call. So we could take a mouth call and do a whole lot of different animal sounds with one call.
Well, I think you just answered the question I had, but I want to clarify it a little bit. So if you're in the open category, excuse me, and a judge says, give me a fly down cackle, is it diaphragm only, or can you use a box call, or like if you want to cut on it, you can use a box call to cut, which a lot of people do. Or are these diaphragms? I know there's a friction category. We're going to set that one aside. But in the open, you can use multiple different types of calls when you're doing this, or is it
That is
strictly
correct.
diaphragm? Okay,
No,
explain that.
in the open division, it's open to any kind of turkey call that you want to use, or whatever. It really don't matter what you use in the open division as long as it's not electronic.
Okay, all right. So if I want to cut on a box call, I can do that,
That's
or
right.
on a glass call, for example. If I want to cut on it or purr on my glass call, I can do that instead of having to do it all through the diaphragm.
That is correct. And in my opinion, this is strictly my opinion, in the open division, uh, a mouth call takes an element out of the hearing the surface of that striker hit the calling surface. Does that make sense?
It
I
does.
think in a best case scenario, as close as you are to those judges, a lot of times it's almost impossible to take the sound of that striker out of that touching the glass surface or the slate surface or the aluminum surface or whatever it might be, or that box call lid sliding across the box. It's hard to take that out. Where a mouth call, it eliminates all that extra noise, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I feel like a mouth call will give you a little bit truer sound in most cases. There is the exception to that rule, though.
Yeah. I mean, because I'm thinking from a hunter, because that's what I do. I've never done a contest. Is that I know I can purr a lot better on that glass call or that slate call than I can with the diaphragm. I know I can cut a little bit better with the slate call or the box than I can with a diaphragm call. And I think a lot of hunters feel the same way. That's why our vest weigh 36 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because we're carrying everything with us,
That's
right?
exactly right.
Right. But it is different when you're on a stage and you're trying to mimic these sounds as opposed to being in the woods, as you said. All right. So give me a list of, let's say at the NWTF World Championship, what type you have to do a fly down cackle, you got to do a kiki run, you got to do a tree yelps, or give us a example of what kind of calls that you have to master.
So it's basically the entire range of the turkey vocalization. You've got minus the gobble. In the open division, they never ask for a gobble because it's its own division. You have the gobbling championships, right? So you've got a gobbler yelp, you've got a plain yelp, you've got an excited yelp, you've got an assembly yelp, you've got a kiki run, you got a cluck and purr, you got a tree call, you got a fly down cackle. I think that almost covers it all. I'm sure I missed one or two right there that I forgot to mention, but it's a wide variety of.
Do they ask for it, or you just have to run them in any order you want to, or is there specific?
They ask for it unless it's in the scenario format. So they'll ask particular caller number 11, give me your kiki run. Caller number 11, give me your plain yelp.
Okay, and then you just do that. Done.
Whatever it is.
Okay. Right. But each caller, their version of that plain yelp may be different from your version of the plain yelp, correct?
That's correct. I may throw some clucks in my plain yelp. I might throw some little soft doo-wits or a little whistle in on my plain yelps. I might add a little cluck and purr in my plain yelps, and some callers may just get up there and just yelp.
Yeah, and the reason I'm asking these detailed questions is because as a novice, somebody thinking about getting into a contest, when I hear just give me a plain yelp, I'm thinking, no, there's actually more to it than that.
That's exactly right.
And I would recommend going on YouTube and watching some of these contests and give you an idea of what they're talking about.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you this too, a lot of calling contests, if you go on the NWTF website, nwtf.org, you can find where your local contest is at. You can click on in your state and you'll see a breakdown of where those calling contests are at and are coming up. Well, a lot of your local divisions have what they call a hunter division. Yeah. Or a lot of your local contests have a hunter division. And that's a great place to get your feet wet, even after going on YouTube and watching it to see what's expected. And as a contest caller for years, I would listen to other callers. And what really bridged the gap for me of where I went from placing in contests, winning a few contests, to really winning a national championship is I quit listening to callers and I started listening to turkeys. And man, what a difference it made in my calling competition career
Okay.
when I made that transition over. But I would definitely recommend, somebody that's never called is getting into that hunter division and getting their feet wet right there. It's a great place to do so.
So instead of trying to mimic Mark Prudhomme or John Miller or Mitchell Johnston, try to mimic a hen.
Yes.
Right.
100%.
Right.
Yeah.
And, there's a good scenario to that I think of when I was first into pastorate and I was trying to preach. I said, I love Tony Evans. I want to preach like Tony Evans. Well, no. God called me to preach. He already has Tony.
That's right.
He needs Pete to be like Pete.
That's exactly right.
So to that point, get as close as you can to that hen, but do it your way.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you'll never, I won't say you'll never, but it will be hard to mimic her perfectly every time. Right. I mean, you would have to do some detailed memorization of, man, that hen clucked 3 times and yelped 5 times. Then she clucked twice and yelped 6 times. I mean, and she paused for 32 seconds in between.
Exactly.
So it'd be almost impossible to do it perfectly every time, but get as close to her as you can.
Right. And on that, Mitchell, is I was hunting, not this year because I had shoulder surgery right during turkey season, so I couldn't hunt this year, but last year. And to show how wild turkeys are so different in regards to this, I'm watching a hen and she started yelping, and she yelped consecutively 31 times before she stopped. And I thought, I would never have done that as a hunter to continue. Of course, it was different cadence now, but I'm like, good gosh, look at her go. I never would have thought to yelp that many times. It was a perfect cadence, perfect rhythm. 31 times. So it got me to really spinning in my head as to what turkeys do versus what hunters do. I'm thinking 5, 6, 7 times, maybe 8 before I stop and listen and make a pause. And she just kept going and kept going and kept going. And it blew my brain that she would do that, 1. And 2 is I need to start rethinking how I call now. And that's the whole part I love about it. It's always learning.
Absolutely. And, turkey calling has changed over the years. So I'm 43 years old now. And man, from the time I started when I was 16 turkey hunting to now, so much has changed. And we know more about the turkey than we ever have. And the research is out there for the turkey. But I'll never forget, I took an outdoor rider one time. I was with Night and Hill Game Calls at the time, and loved that company and enjoyed my time while I was there. But they flew me to Arkansas. I took an outdoor rider for them, and I'll never forget this hunt. He liked to use a trumpet call, and kudos to him. Awesome call. I've got trumpets that I use. Matter of fact, you mentioned Mark Prudhomme. I've got one of Mark's trumpets sitting on my shelf right over here. Yeah. Man, I love it. But we had that outdoor rider. All he talked about was you cannot get aggressive with turkeys. He said this new age of calling does not work. He said you got to yelp soft at turkeys. They won't respond if you get excited and start doing a whole bunch of cutting and a whole bunch of yelping. And here it was the last day of the hunt, and we hadn't killed a turkey. And I was talking to him, and I was like, man, I said, listen, would you mind if I yelped at these turkeys and do it my way? He's like, no, I don't mind at all. He said, we got to go. It's time, So, when you're guiding an outdoor rider, I try to, in that case, they wanted me to cater a little bit to him, right? Well, here I am, last day of the hunt, and I'm like, listen, let me yelp on my mouth call. Let's see what we can do. And I lit in on them birds, just pop, 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 pop. And we hadn't heard a turkey gobble in 2.5 days. And when I say they fired off and just hammered right on top of me, and he looked at me and I said, sit down right there on that tree for just a minute, and called both them birds in, aggressive calling with them. And they absolutely, he killed one of the birds.
Yeah.
And he looked at me, and he was old school calling. and that's okay. Sometimes you got to be old school calling. You
Mm-hmm.
got to know when to be aggressive and when not to be aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes with a lot of experience in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
But he killed that turkey.
Yeah.
And he turned around and looked at me and he said, I can't believe that worked. I've
Yeah.
never had that work. And I said, well, sometimes you just got to change things up. I
Right.
said, if soft calling doesn't work, why not get aggressive? What do you have to lose?
Right. Right.
So anytime I'm in the woods, I always start off calling. If I'm trying to locate a bird, I always start off with soft yelping.
Yeah.
Something soft. Don't get overexcited with them, because if he's right on top of me, I won't blow him out of the woods.
Right.
Right. And I have time just to sit down. Well, I sit down, set up, and if he answers that, fine. If not, then I can always get louder with my calling. I can always get more excited with my calling in case he's further away and at a longer distance. So that's something I really take the time. You know, we're talking about turkey calling and turkey hunting and woodsmanship versus calling. I'll promise you this. You tell me you give me a great turkey caller or a great woodsman, which one would I pick? I would always pick the great woodsman.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But if you can combine the two,
you got a turkey killer now, not a turkey hunter.
You got a killer.
Yeah, and there's a difference. There is a difference in a turkey hunter and a turkey killer, right?
Yes,
and 100%. As you said, when you combine good calling with woodsmanship, those turkeys are on a very short leash. Yeah.
Yes.
We're fortunate here at Christian Outdoors to have quality companies supporting our mission, and Mueller Optics is a perfect example of this. Since 2007, Mueller Optics has had one mission: to bring the passion of hunting and shooting to everyone. Mueller Optics' aim is to offer top-tier rifle scopes that won't break your budget, making quality optics more attainable for enthusiasts like us. Now, I started using Mueller Optics scopes last season. Not only was I impressed with the cost of these scopes, but the quality of the glass and the ease of operation was as good or better than other brands costing 3, 4, 5 times as much as the Mueller Optics scopes do. Whether you're building the rifle for the hunt of a lifetime, an ultimate whitetail setup, or trying to make your 22 perfect for small game hunting and plinking, Mueller Optics has a scope for you that will outperform any other scope in its price point. And to further help Christian Outdoors, if you use promo code COP for Christian Outdoor Podcast, COP35 at checkout, you will save 35% on your purchase. Just go to MuellerOptics.com to find out more. Okay, so you got into calling competition and you got into turkey hunting, and then you like a lot of people in the outdoor space, I think I can make this call better. And so this is how I've heard it from other people. You correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know this about you. Is you go to Ace Hardware or Academy and you buy a 2-reed call, and you start taking scissors and you start making these cuts and you start shaping it differently for you. You say, you know what, I can make this better. Is that how you got into turkey call making, or you saw a need and said, you know what, I just want to do this? Tell us how you got into that.
So mine was a little bit different. I can remember the very first turkey call I ever bought. It was an H&S Strut Viper. Never forget it.
Okay.
You know, you've seen the yellow packaging. I went into my local Walmart, bought the call, and that's what I started turkey hunting with. Mm-hmm. We talked about John Miller just a few minutes ago. Mm-hmm. John is really the man that created all this storm, I would say. I went to John's house and was standing there in John's living room, and I looked over in the corner, and there was trophies similar to the one that's behind me right here. Mm-hmm. And there's trophies in the corner with turkeys on top of them. And I thought, man, why do you have trophies with turkeys on them? He said, I go to turkey calling competitions. I was like, there's such thing as a turkey calling contest? Like, that's cool, you know? And here I am, a competitive person by nature. I was always a baseball player, basketball player, went to the tennis world a little bit. Man, I love competition. And I thought, man, how better to become a better hunter and a better woodsman to hone my skills as a turkey caller as to enter competitions. Mm-hmm. So John showed me a few things on how to build my own mouth call while I was there. And I thought, that is the coolest thing since sliced bread. I'm going to try this out. So my brother is a machinist by trade, and he built me my very first turkey call press. And
Okay.
it's sitting over on my shelf, and it's just a small aluminum block. It's really neat, and I've got a cross on the front of it, because I try to intertwine my faith in everything that I do.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was neat to start building my own calls, because from the competition side of things, you could have a great turkey call, but you can really fine tune those turkey calls, moving that latex just that 32nd of an inch or 64th of an inch between the second and third reeds. And man, that just makes a huge difference sometimes in the call. And I had to learn what worked best for me. Well, then we took what worked best for me, and then we started putting those in packaging, and we started selling them. And John's got a signature series call with us as well. So it's been really in outdoors kind of push through as
Right.
with
Stop
our
a
mouth.
second. I got to interrupt you. We had a.
I seen that.
Okay. So I wrote down the times. We're going to go back to when your brother made the first press.
Okay. All right. So when I left John's house and seeing him show me how he made a mouth call, I thought about, man, my brother's a machinist, so he built my first press for me. And it's just a small aluminum block with some lines on it that was cut out that I could stretch calls with a piece of Scotch tape. And that's what I done. I would take a piece of latex and stretch it over with that little jig, and I built thousands upon thousands of calls with that jig. And I actually started working for a company called JC Calls. Mr. Nelson Cartrett was the gentleman's name, and I started building mouth calls for them when I entered into the competition world and started making calls for his company. Nelson passed away, and I really appreciate my time that the Lord allowed me to spend with him. But and then we went from there and went with a couple other different companies. And then when I really started fine tuning my own calls, people started asking for them. Hey, I'd like to buy one of your mouth calls. I'd like to do this. And so I was praying about it, and I thought about doing my own call company. And one, I didn't want anything to get put in front of my ministry. I've been a evangelist since I was 15 years old and preaching the gospel. And so here I was thinking, Lord, I don't want this to get put in front of you. No way, no how. And so God tells us he would give you the desires of your heart. He knew that I had the desire to win a national turkey calling championship, and he knew that I had the desire to see people come to know him as their savior. And so he took the two and made a ministry out of it, and hence we got Dead End Game Calls, or Dead End Outdoors now.
All right. So how did the name come about?
Well, the name Dead End, a lot of people think about Dead End being dead end, like leading a turkey down a dead end road. And it is. It's a great play on words, right?
I mean, that's what I thought. Dead end means that this is going to help me kill the turkey, right?
Right. That's right. But it actually means, the true meaning of dead end is life without Jesus is a dead end road. Wow. And that is a fact. No matter what we do, listen, all these game calls and everything that we do is rust and dust. It's going to go away. Them trophies back there, in the grand scheme of things, don't really mean a whole lot. Mm-mm. But what I do for Jesus, that's eternal, and that's going to matter forever. And everybody that I can lead to the Lord and to see them come to know Jesus Christ, their personal Savior, whether it's through a turkey call or if I'm preaching the gospel in a pulpit, man, what more could you do in life than telling people and leading people to know Jesus Christ as their Savior?
That's right. That's right. That's perfect. And on your, excuse me, on your website, the opening page says Dead End Game Calls. It's a God thing.
Yes.
Right. So anybody who opens your website is going to see that right up front, and that's a passion of yours. So were you an evangelist before you started Dead End Game Calls? It all kind of merged all together at once, or how did all that come about, Mitchell?
So I got saved when I was 8 years old. I was a young man when I come to know the Lord as my Savior, and I'll never forget the message. I'll never forget who was preaching the message. Brother Neil Hatfield, Reverend Neil Hatfield, was preaching a revival for us at Flint Hill Baptist Church, and I come to know Jesus as my Savior at 8 years old. And through life, I don't know, it's like God had a different calling in my life. And when I was 15, I surrendered to that calling knowing that he had called me to preach the gospel. Well, it's the highest calling in the land. We talk about turkey calling. Now, that's a great calling. Don't get me wrong. But the
Yeah.
highest calling in the land is to tell people about Jesus and to preach the
Right.
gospel. You'll never get a higher calling. That's the most important job there is in the world. I promise you.
It is.
But it's not really a job. It is a calling. And I think there's a difference there. A lot of people go to be a preacher as a job. It's not a job. It's a calling.
Right.
And so we
If
went
I may,
yeah.
being a pastor myself and having preached for a long time as you have, it's not difficult to spot the men who chose the profession versus called into the profession.
Absolutely.
You can see it. You can see it in their demeanor and their passion or their lack of passion. And I just want to caution anyone who may be thinking about ministry. I just need to say this right now when you said that. So forgive me for interrupting. Anyone who's thinking about ministry, pray hard about it. Make sure that it's not that this is a calling to preach the gospel, not a calling to be in ministry. There's a lot of different ministry and all of it's needed, and there's a lot of different gifts and all of it's needed, but make sure by praying and talking to your pastor or another believer that your calling is to preach the gospel in season and out of season, in truth and in faith, because there is nothing else that you can do but make sure you're not choosing a profession, but you're being called into proclaiming the gospel.
100%. And that is so important. There's a lot of people that will start in the ministry and quit in the ministry real soon. Very few stand the test of time, to be honest with you.
It's hard.
In today's society. It's very hard.
Really hard.
Yes, it is. But it is a true calling. It's not something that you can go crack open a textbook and learn. There's very few people that will stand the test of time in the ministry in today's society. It is hard. It's a very difficult thing. But if it's a true calling, it's something that, God's got your back. He's going to help you through it. It doesn't matter what you go through. It doesn't matter the troubles, trials, or tribulations that you go through. God's got you, and he's going to be there for you. And man, have we ever seen that over the last few years with the ministry of Dead End? I started preaching the gospel when I was 15 years old. God called me to the most important calling that he had ever given me in my life outside of my salvation. And you think about this, I'm a 15-year-old young man that not married. I mean, who in the world, their right mind is going to marry a preacher, right? That when he's 15. Well,
somebody that doesn't know what they're getting into. That's who's
that's exactly right. Well, God blessed me with the perfect helpmate. That's something I prayed about. I said, God, I don't want to dilly-dally around. I don't want to mess around with a lot of day. I want you to provide me with the perfect helpmate. And boy, did he ever. I mean, my wife works with me here at the game call business and Dead End Outdoors. And we do a lot more than just game calls. We do embroidery, screen printing. We do just a little bit about it, leather patch hats, all kinds of stuff outside of the outdoor industry as well. But man, what a blessing it was for him to bless me with the perfect helpmate. Then he's blessed me with 2 beautiful daughters. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you how obsessed I am with turkey hunting. One of my daughters' names is Cadence.
Wow, sorry.
You're all right.
Her name's Cadence.
Cadence, yes, absolutely. Yeah, so that's how obsessed I am. So then you've got my son Mason. He won the Polk's National Championship last year. Kudos to him. He called really great, and he's fell in love with it just as much as I do. But God took my ministry that he had called me to and put together the love of turkey hunting, and I see souls saved like crazy through it. And man, what a blessing. I mean, I preach all over the United States. I preach the gospel at so many different churches and so many different organizations and sports and banquets. And God is just, I've watched him work through it. We went through a really hard time this past year here with the business, and that's a story for another day. But I watched God work through that and us have to fight through some things that didn't work out the way we thought they were going to last year. And that happens. And so we had entered into a partnership with a company. We ended up buying that partnership back out. And I couldn't understand what was going on or why we were going through that. because I knew the Lord had led me to that partnership. And then in less than a year, he was leading me away from that partnership. Mm-hmm. Well, this year at the NWTF, at the convention, all of that kind of came to a head for me of why we went through what we went through. Okay. God taught me some things through it, and that's great. Still friends with those folks. That's great. But there was a young man come to me at the NWTF convention this year after all the trouble that we went through, and it seemed like the weight of the world had come on us, and the devil was fighting this ministry tooth and nail. It seemed like the ministry of Dead End, because it's a ministry before it's a business.
Right.
And I watched a young man come to me, and he's been friends with me for years. His name is Terrence Williamson. Terrence, I call him T, is a great, great fella. Always been a great guy, but Terrence didn't know the Lord as a Savior. Mm-hmm. And we had prayer Saturday morning at the National Wild Turkey Federation convention outside of the calling room. There's a whole bunch of us got together. It's 40-some probably. It started out just having prayer together. And next thing I know, it's growing. There's more and more people there. Well, Terrence was one of the men that was in that circle. And Terrence is also a fellow Mossy Oak guy. And Terrence come up to me after the prayer was over. And I was talking to him about a Mossy Oak shirt. But every time I would turn around, I was talking to other people, hugging them, and Terrence would be right behind me. And I'd walk a few steps, hug somebody else, and Terrence would be right behind me. And I turned around, I said, Terrence, I said, let's talk about those Mossy Oak shirts. He said, I don't want to talk about those Mossy Oak shirts. He said, I understand what we got going on here. He said, I just looked at him. I said, Terrence, I said, you ever been saved? And he said, no, Mitchell, I haven't. And that's what I got to talk to you about. And we knelt down right outside the NWTF calling room, outside the calling competition room, where we have competed against each other for years and years. And Terrence gave his heart to the Lord.
Oh, my goodness. Praise God for that.
Listen, all the trouble and all the trials and everything that we went through, all the fights that we've had to fight and keeping Dead End as a ministry and a business, God's like, that's why. That's why you're fighting so hard. The devil's going to try to tear down and beat down anything that you do that's going to bring honor and glory to God. I'll promise you. If the devil ain't messing, the Lord ain't blessing. That's what I've always been told. And so I watched Terrence give his heart to the Lord, and I was going down the escalators. If anybody's ever been to the NWTF convention, from the calling room to the actual where they sell calls and stuff in the showroom floor, right. There's a set of escalators you go down. Well, I went down that set of escalators, and before I could get down them, just overwhelming peace and the touch of the Spirit came upon me. And it's like, that's why you're fighting. That's what you're doing, why you're doing what you're doing. It's not ever going to be an easy battle, but I know who's facing the battle with me. Right. And so that's certainly encouraging. You know, throughout the history of Dead End, when I first started calling, cool little story here, one of my aunts, she passed away during COVID time, but before then, she had my dad had talked with my aunt, and I was in college when I was really competing hard and practicing hard to compete for turkey calling. And I'll never forget the story my aunt told me. She said my dad come to her one day, and she said, he looked at me and said, I don't understand why Mitchell is trying to practice all this turkey calling and traveling all over, going to turkey calling competitions. If he would spend half that time in his studies, it would take him a whole lot further in life. Well, back up years later, after Dead End's been formed, and I've won a national championship, and I'm preaching the gospel not because of a turkey call, but he's opened up doors because of a turkey call of opportunity to preach the gospel. And for my dad to go to my aunt and say, I never would have thought that God would have taken a turkey call and seen so many people saved through it.
Right. Yeah.
God's got bigger plans than we ever have.
Oh, right? And his plans are so much bigger than ours, and they're better. They're better.
Yes. I don't think we can even fathom the plans that the Lord has for us if we'll just listen to him.
Yeah, if we just get out of his way. I mean, just like this podcast, Mitchell, and I'm not bragging, I'm giving praise to God about it. When I started talking to this microphone in 2019, I never thought we'd be reaching over 8 million people. That was never even on my radar. I was hoping to get tens of listeners, tens. You
Right.
know, I really didn't have a number in mind. I mean, I just didn't know. I just felt called to do this, and now we're, you know, it took what 4 years to get 1 million listeners. We've had over 3 million this year alone. It's like good, and I just can't even. I got to get at just give all the credit to God about it, because there's no way Pete could do that.
Right.
Absolutely no way Pete can do that, and it continues to blow my mind when I see the number of downloads we're getting, and I see this. I'm like, I don't even track it anymore, because it's so beyond me of what God is doing, and it's just awesome. And we say that from what you're saying and what I'm saying, we're just kind of saying the same thing as to the listener. If you feel called to do something or feel a passion for something, commit it to God and let Him take the reins, and it will go far bigger and better than you ever imagined. Probably even a different way than what you planned. But
100%.
just let Him do it, and it's amazing what He can do when we get out of His way.
Absolutely. And you know, that's one thing that, yeah, I was talking about troubles and trials and tribulations and stuff that we had gone through. And if you're listening out there today and you're going through a trouble and trial or tribulation that you don't understand it, you don't know understand how you're going to get through it. There's a God in heaven that you knew that you was going to go through that before you ever went through it. So
Absolutely.
he loves you beyond imagine. And like you said, if we'll get out of the way and let God have His way, just let him work. Just watch him work. And
Yeah.
so I would like to encourage, if you're a listener out there, or if you're watching this and you're going through a hard time, man, give it to God, because He understands you. He's been through it all. I mean, His Son died upon the cross of Calvary and took on the weights of the sin of the world, and everything that you're going through, He understands exactly what you're going through.
Right. He does.
It's man, it's I'm thankful that we've got a Savior that loved us so much that He died upon the cross of Calvary. But I also am thankful that He loves us enough that He understands us.
Right.
He gets us.
Yeah.
He really does, and He knows what we're going through.
He does, and
Yeah.
He's experienced most of it, right, on His
Yeah.
own. I mean, in life and in death, Christ has experienced what we experience. He understands the emotion. He understands the pain. He understands grief. He understands people turning their back on us. He understands it when our best friends like, I'm done with you. And I thought I could depend on you, man. And they go. That happened to him too. He was betrayed. He was not understood. He was not accepted everywhere he went, just like we aren't. He understands that kind of pain and that kind of heartache. And that's what makes the connection so great. That's what makes the relationship work.
100%. Yes, it
Absolutely.
does. You know, I was blessed. My children. So I'll give you a little bit of backstory on my kids.
Hello, everyone. This portion of the show is being brought to you by High Mountain Seasonings. With the fall hunting season starting, one of my favorite ways to use my game meat is making jerky. And as long as I've been making jerky, I've found that the kits from High Mountain Seasoning are the easiest, best tasting, and complete sets on the market today. With 7 different flavors to choose from, the jerky kits from High Mountain Seasoning are your go-to choice for game meat jerky. And you can find out more at highmtnjerky.com.
You know, I was going to tell you, you know, we talked about Cadence. We talked about Mason. I've got a daughter named Sarah. She's actually back there. I think she's stitching some leather patches on some hats right now. She's in college now. So in a few weeks, she'll go on off to college. And man, I'm so proud of her. But, you know, I watched both of my girls, what they had thought, give their heart to the Lord at an early age. And then just about a year ago, both of them truly got saved.
Right.
Just a night apart in revival. And there's so many people out there that think they have a relationship and they know about Jesus. They know about this man named Jesus, but they've never established a true relationship with him. And the fact that they've taken the time to ask him to forgive them of their sins and come to true repentance. And that's when true salvation comes in. And what people don't understand, you can't get saved anytime you want to. You got to get saved when the Holy Ghost is convicting you, showing you that you're lost.
Right.
There's such a differentiating factor in that. But man, I'm so thankful that God has blessed me with an awesome family that both my girls are saved, my son's saved. my wife's saved, and he has blessed me so much. And we take the things that, man, I got a roof over my head. I got food on my table. I've got a great shop that we come here to get to work at every day. And we look at the so many things that we look at in life, and we think we're so down and out at times. But if we take the time to look at our blessings that God has blessed us with, they so overweigh the negative things that we have going on in life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to that, I'm 61 years old, and I'm still learning more about Jesus and more about God. The more I dig into his word, the more it comes alive. But I had somebody, it was a pastor, it was a sermon that I heard. I want to share this real quick. It just popped in my mind when you said it. So I think God's telling me to share it. Is I've talked to guys, I'm like you. I go all over the country and speak at these events and preach at churches, and I freaking love doing that. I love doing that. But I had somebody say something today like, Pete, I don't know how to pray. I don't know how to pray, right? And I heard a pastor put it like this, and it just resonated with me, so I want to share it. And he said, when you pray, do it like this. Thank you. Thank God. Spend the first part of your prayer thanking God for everything you have. And he said, do it from thank you for a dependable car. Thank you for a home. Thank you that I have groceries that I can feed my family. Thank you that I have a job that I can go to if you do, and for the money that it provides. Thank you. And then he says, and then you say, sorry. Forgive me for my sins. Forgive me for when I got short with my coworker today. Forgive me when I snapped at my child when I didn't mean to. So it's thank you, sorry, and then please. Don't start with the please. God, I need this. God, I need that. Help me with this. No, it's thank you for the little things that are the big things. I'm sorry that I let you down. Forgive me for my sins. And then please help me be better today. Help me be a better father. Help me be a better husband. Help me to be a better person, a better coworker, a better boss if you're a boss. Help me. So it's thank you, sorry, and please. And when I started doing it that way, oh my goodness. My prayers are more focused. They're not rambling. My prayers are more focused. 2, it makes me be more cognizant of the things to be thankful for. Right? Because before it was like big picture things, 10,000-foot thank yous. But now it's or as a buddy of mine says, there's shotgun prayers and there's rifle prayers. Right? And now started doing rifle prayers, being very specific. Thank you that I have a dependable vehicle. Thank you that I have food. Thank you that I have wonderful children and grandchildren. And thank you, very specific. And man, that just changed my entire prayer life. So if there's somebody out there who's struggling with, I really don't know what to pray for and how to pray, start with the thank you. I'm sorry. And then please. And I believe it will help your prayer life some. So I've just felt led to share that, Mitchell. Didn't mean to interrupt you on that. So
no, that's perfect, man.
Yeah, it just really has helped me.
Did you know that a negative thought and a positive thought can't coexist in your mind at the same time?
Man, you're getting scientific on me. That's going to blow my brain up.
It can't do it, buddy.
Thinker, man. I'm a very simple thinker here, Mitchell.
Yeah, right. Well, it can't. And you think about that. If you're thinking about something positive, you can't think about something negative at the same time.
Right.
So if we'll keep our mind focused on Christ, that's the most positive thing that we can keep it focused on at all times.
Right. And I know somebody's going to say, well, how can I do that if I'm on the assembly line and I'm trying to put this bumper on this car, or if I'm a CNC operator and I got to put the code in, they're thinking, how can I think about Christ and do that? It's not as complicated as you make it. It's really not. Sometimes, I think oftentimes, we overthink what Jesus does. We overthink the difficult things. Jesus said, how much faith does it take? Mustard seed. He said, that's not a lot, right? Just a little bit of faith can go a long way because it becomes the biggest plant in the garden. If you've ever had a vegetable garden, you planted a mustard seed, you're like, why did I do this? It takes over the whole garden. So don't put 3 seeds in the hole on the mustard seed. Okay. Just what am I going to do with all these mustard greens now? He should have done that with okra too. If you've ever planted a garden with okra, right? You need 3 plants to feed your whole family.
Okay? Right. Yeah.
Don't plant a full row of okra, or you got more okra, you know what to do with. You can't give it away fast enough. Right?
No, not at all.
No.
But you're talking about seeds. A lot of times we plant those seeds as Christians and we don't ever get to see them grow. Uh-oh, froze up again.
Yeah, we plant those seeds as Christians.
Yep. So you're talking about seeds. Think about it like this too. A lot of times as Christians, we plant seeds that we never get to see grow.
That's the hardest part about pastoring.
It is.
Absolutely the hardest part is you plant seed, you may never see the benefit. But what does Jesus tell us in one of his parables? Some will plant, some will sow, some will water, some will harvest. Right. And you may be the planter, and Mitchell may be the waterer. That's bad grammar. But the person that waters the seed. And 5 years from now, somebody else comes into their life and they're the ones that harvest. When you had that encounter with your buddy Terrence, you were the harvester of a seed somebody else planted. Right? And I believe as followers of Christ, we may be all three of those at different times for different people. Right? Today, I'm planting a seed with somebody listening to this podcast. 2 years from now, somebody else may harvest that seed.
That's right.
But don't be afraid to plant. Don't be afraid to water, and don't be afraid to harvest. Right. All right. Wow. This is a great conversation, but I want to get back to your dead end game calls and your dead end if you don't follow Jesus. We've covered that pretty well. So you don't just do turkey calls though. You also do deer calls and predator calls, which is really just a diaphragm. But you do waterfowl. Again, if you ever want to not to kill ducks, put me in a blind with a duck call, because I can turn them better than anybody. Okay.
Wrong direction, right?
Oh my gosh, I am terrible on the duck call. Absolutely terrible. I mean, absolutely terrible. But tell us about how you expanded from your passion for turkey calls into these other areas, and why, and then why you added fishing on as well.
So I'm just an avid outdoorsman. I just love everything in God's creation. It doesn't matter if it's fishing or if it's coyote hunting or if it's duck hunting or goose hunting or whatever it is. I love the outdoors, period. So I have a passion there. So I learned how to build a turkey call. And some of those same schematics of learning how to build a turkey call, how air goes through this mouth call, or how the dimensions of a pot call changes the sound that you get out of that, all that falls right back into all the other calls. So not only did we create the turkey call, but then I have a huge passion for deer hunting. So I said, I need a grunt call. So here we come out with 2 different designs on a grunt call. And then I love to duck hunt. So I said, well, I'm going to build a duck call. So we built duck calls, then goose calls, and then the predator calls. And one thing just led to another. Then I stumbled upon, I knew just enough about chemistry to get myself in trouble in the scent elimination world. And so we stumbled upon something, and it turned out to be one of the best scent elimination products that you can make. And we can take Axe cologne, spray Axe into a cup, and eliminate that Axe cologne with our scent elimination spray. It's amazing. It is absolutely crazy.
I don't believe that cologne is another way of spelling perfume.
Right.
Real men don't wear perfume. That's my stance. Yours may be different.
No.
Okay. And
so I wear everything unscented.
Perfume. Okay. I'm scent free. Use scent free detergent, scent free in my laundry, scent free in my soap, and when I'm showering, scent free shampoo. I'm doing that year round because I don't like strong smells. Right. So when you mentioned that Axe, I was at my brother's house this past weekend. I'm like, good God, this is strong perfume you're wearing, dude. He said, that's Axe body wash or whatever. I said, well, you're stinking the whole house up. Do not get in my truck. My truck is scent free, right? I had to put charcoal in the seat after he got out, just to try to absorb some of the smells that he had. But anyway, tell us about that.
So our odors on scent elimination works on a molecular level where it basically takes an odor molecule, absorbs it, and eliminates it. So it'll surround that odor molecule, and then it will draw it, and completely it'll be gone.
Oh, cool.
It's really cool. What we also done with that spray, we made a home edition that is actually smells like you took your clothes right out of the dryer, like a fresh linen smell. So a lot of people use that for pet odors, things of that nature. Then we've got an earth tone that smells like you took a stump and you rolled it over, and that fresh dirt smell that's there, it smells identical to it. Buddy, it is. It's like every redneck's dream, right?
Yeah, it
is. So it's good stuff.
Yeah. I was telling somebody the other day, speaking of odors or fragrance, you got to be careful of that too. You can tell your wife, "Oh, that's a nice fragrance you're wearing," but don't tell your wife that's an interesting odor you have. Okay, you got to be careful of that, right?
Right, you got to get a man in trouble.
You got to be careful. I've always said, and if somebody's listening to this, they're going to steal my idea, so I'm going to trademark it when I say it. That if they would make candles that smelled like scents men like,
already done that.
Did that? You got bacon grease candles?
No, but I've tinkered.
You got Gojo? You got Gojo candles? what about used motor oil? You got that one?
That's it.
Hoppy's number 9. Okay, you get a candle that smells like a gun cleaning oil. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have that in my office all the time. You know, I mean, man, I tell you what, there's some scents out there that I think not just dirt, not just cedar trees or pines, but Gojo, WD-40. I mean, man scents. I think you could sell some candles on that.
Yeah, for sure.
I do. Because instead of the potpourri and all that stuff that women stink our houses up with, let's get some man scents in our.
So typically during deer season, there is no candles or anything burnt in my house. That's just one of my things. And so I also have terrible allergies, which is a negative for me. So I've got to be careful what I'm around anyways. But I wear scent-free deodorant year-round. Now, my wife does wash my clothes and normal clothes wash, except for during deer season.
Right.
Then we make a body wash and shampoo. We make a laundry detergent here as well.
Okay.
That is unscented.
Okay.
Working on a new earth tone body wash and shampoo right now that we just figured out, and getting ready to create some labels and stuff for that. So
cool. What about the fishing? And then we'll wrap it up on the fishing part of it. How did you get into fishing when you were a game caller? You call fish?
Man, I love carp fishing. Craziest thing ever, right?
Yeah.
Most people don't know anything about carp fishing, but if you are around North Carolina, South Carolina, some parts of Pennsylvania, some parts of Indiana, we have pay lakes.
Yeah, people pay money to go catch carp.
Absolutely. We have carp fishing tournaments just like a bass fishing tournament.
Right.
Except with that ponds where they've stocked carp and you're trying to catch the biggest one for the hour or the night or whatever.
Balls or the different kind of stink baits. And man, those people guard those baits.
Oh.
They'd rather tell you how much their wife weighs than what they put in their carp bait.
Yeah, it's a pack bait. It's the way we do it here. Different than what they do over in England, right? And they use bullies over there. We use pack baits like grits and oats and chow and rice and all this stuff over here. So I love carp fishing. And so we started making carp fishing flavoring. Well, we also make catfishing flavoring. The same flavors that work for carp also work for catfish. And matter of fact, I take chicken breast, cut it up. And one of my favorites is to take our strawberry fishing flavoring, put it in chicken breast, and use that to catfish with. And we wear the catfish out with that flavoring. And it's not a stink bait because it actually smells good.
Yeah.
It's not something that you're going to eat. It's not an edible deal, but it is flavoring strictly made for fishing. Then we came out with the carp fishing hooks. We ended up with swivels, and now we have fishing line as well.
Okay. Now I'm looking at your website here, and it has flavorings, pickups, and slime. So for somebody not familiar with the terminology of a pickup or slime, and when it comes to fish baits, explain that real quick.
So the slime or flavoring, so the flavoring's more of a liquid that you actually put in your pack baits, like the grits, the chow, the whatever, right? The slime is used, so in the carp fishing world, you have a 3-way swivel. Of course, one is hooked to your line, and then the other has 2 leaders that come off with hooks on it. So you put corn pops or honey smacks or whatever your what we call the pickup is on those hooks. So I use mostly corn pops or corn puffs, and that slime is a thicker base. It looks like a slime. If you remember, like the slime that you used to play with as a kid that would stretch out.
Yeah.
But it's kind of that kind of same base. You dip your hooks, it's got those pops in it into that slime, and it stays on that pop better. So you actually, if you drop that in a clear glass of water, you can watch that flavoring leach off of that corn pop. And so it stays on that pop just a little bit better than just flavoring would.
Okay. When you say a corn pop, you mean the cereal?
The cereal.
Wow.
Yep, the cereal.
That's
then,
great.
of course, outside of the fishing world, we've designed new turkey vests this past year.
Saw that.
We've got rolling duffel bags, leather wallets that's got mossy oak bottom land on it.
All that.
I mean, we got a new scent proof bag that we came out that's carbon lined that is absolutely amazing.
You ever tried fly fishing for carp?
I have not.
Dude, you better put a lot of backing on there. That's all I'm saying. It is so much fun. Just a woolly booger is all you need. When they're on the bed spawning, you just throw a woolly booger and just gotta be. They're so spooky though. They're so spooky. Long leaders, light leaders, and then just hang on. That's a lot of fun.
A carp's such a strong fish.
Yeah.
They are you get a 15-pound carp that's in a lake. Dude, it will pull like nobody's business. And
I know.
And
that's
they are
what's fun
so
about
much fun to fish with.
That's what's fun is the fight. They're so strong. They're so strong, and you get to fight them. And I like light line fishing. So if you get it on a light line, like if you're fishing a pay lake where there's 15, maybe 20-pound carps, and we always know that there's some bigger in there, but you get that on 6-8 pound line, man, that's fun. You're going to fight them. That's a lot of fun. Anyway, I can get off point. So, Mitchell, we're about out of time here. So why don't you tell people how they can find all this stuff that we're talking about and how they can follow you or find you on social media, but also on the internet.
So check us out at deadendoutdoors.com. If you need anything in the promotional world, like hats or t-shirts, screen printed t-shirts, anything, you find us at depromotions.com. And then on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you got official_ Dead End Outdoors, or you got Dead End Outdoors, Dead End Game Calls. And then my personal page, you can follow me at Mitchell Johnston or Mitchell DEGC on Instagram.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us here on Christian Outdoors, brother. I really appreciate it.
Buddy, it's been my pleasure.
Yes, sir.